You guys have been fighting with my stupid microphone for like 6 months, and I just now found out the reason it's always so frickin' quiet is because it's set to 20% in my computer settings. Story time with Sin. Hello folks, welcome to Stuff I Make Because I'm Bored. My name is Sin and I will be your host, and today we're going to be talking about my teeth. This video will contain descriptions of dental trauma. Through my own rambunctiousness and curiosity and clumsiness, I had repeatedly slammed objects into my teeth between the ages of probably 5 to 6, including a spoon, a swing, and the floor, which ultimately ended up breaking my upper left front tooth. I distinctly remember sitting in the dentist chair and getting that tooth filled in. The dentist was very nice. Weirdly, I even remember the exact taste of the filling. It was very bitter. Now, I no longer have that filling, since that tooth at the time was still a baby tooth. So, a year or so later, my tooth came loose and the full tooth, filling and all, fell out of my mouth. And the full adult tooth grew neatly into place. And as one does, I have since swapped out almost all my baby teeth for their bigger and better counterparts. Almost all. Yes, I am in my late 20s and I still have baby teeth. 2 of them, in fact. Well, it used to be 3. And now, this may come as a shock to you. These aren't my real teeth. I know, shocking. My upper canines are actually still baby teeth, so my dentist made them a little larger than what they are in real life. The only canine that ended up falling out by itself was my lower right canine. And though my lower left canine never fell out naturally by itself, it isn't a baby tooth. It technically isn't even a tooth at all. Oh boy, it's quite the tale. When I was 16-ish, I had a bit of crowding in my mouth. My 2 upper front teeth were actually pointed back into my mouth a bit, and the 2 neighboring teeth pointed outward, creating an excellent wedge for carving apples. And it left a convenient space for drinking straws, even with my jaw closed. My parents decided that I should get braces, so we went to an orthodontist to ask what would be needed. Hello, we'd like to straighten our child's teeth. Yes. Well, first we need to pull all 4 wisdom teeth to make room in their jaw, so let's start with that. Well, thanks for your thoughts. Let's seek a second opinion. We went to another orthodontist. Hello, we would like to straighten our child's teeth, please. Yes. Well, first we need to pull all 4 wisdom teeth to make room, and they still have baby teeth and we can't have that, so those will need to go, and we will pull the adult teeth out of their jaw. Speaking of, they've got a bit of an overbite, so we'll need to break their jaw as well. Let's seek a third opinion! Some family friends had also seen an orthodontist recently who was allegedly a lot less, gung-ho about attacking my face, so we went to see them. We'd like to straighten our child's teeth, please. Oh, okay, we can do that. No pulling teeth? What? No, they have plenty of space. Besides, I've tried the whole pull the adult teeth down thing, and it never really works. They never fully come down, so they'll always be small. May as well just leave the teeth as they are. No breaking their jaw? What? No, why would I do that? So we made our decision. This was our guy. So I got braces. They were the ones with the little 4 metal pronged bracket thingies that are glued onto your teeth, across which was laid a specifically shaped metal wire. The wires were held in place with little colored elastics, which I could choose the colors of every 6-ish months or so, maybe 4, I don't remember, when the wires were replaced. Remember how I said I was about 16? Yeah, they installed the braces like 2 months before prom. It sucked. My face hurt the entire time. I mean, at least I got to pick black and white elastics to match my prom dress. Side note, I looked so cute in that dress. I love that dress. Anyway, time passes. My jaw hurts all the time because braces suck. But eventually, my teeth are straightened. I can no longer carve my initials in an apple or drink through a straw with my jaw closed. The end is in sight. It is time for my braces to be removed. The orthodontist brings out this big pair of flat-headed pliers, with which he's going to literally snip the brackets off of my teeth. Snip, snip, snip. No problems. It's a bit uncomfortable, but it's totally bearable. Snip, snip, snap. The pain is instant. The ortho had attempted to snip the bracket off of my lower left canine, which, if you'll recall, was still a baby tooth. Did you know that teeth have, like, roots? It's the pointy parts that are actually covered by your gums, and that's what's got all the nerves and stuff in it, and where your teeth sits in your jaw bones. When your baby teeth fall out, it's because the adult teeth, like, grow up into place and dissolve the roots of the baby teeth or to loosen them, and then the adult tooth grows up in its place when the tooth falls out. The reason why my upper canines never came in is because my adult teeth got stuck in my jaw or something. and the roots of the baby teeth never loosened. What my ortho had just done was snapped the root of my baby tooth for my lower left canine, as in the tooth was now loose. I look at the ortho with horror. What am I supposed to do with this? Well, he says shakily, just don't touch it. It'll heal. Okay. They prescribed me some Invisalign retainers and send me on my way. What followed was persistent pain, on and off, for 7 years. I'm not going to say chronic because it wasn't constant. It was just, ouch, my tooth is loose because I ate a pretzel. Better not use that side of my mouth for a while. Ouch, my tooth is loose because I ate an apple. Better not use that side of my mouth for a while. Ouch, my tooth is loose because I ate a piece of bread that was slightly too tough. Better not use that side of my mouth for a while. Ouch, my tooth is loose because... For 7 years! By the time I got mad enough to actually do something about it, I looked into suing my freaking orthodontist, but, well, I should have done that within 2 years of him breaking the tooth, so that ship sailed. I looked into what I could actually do to permanently address this problem, and the solution seemed to boil down to this. Get the tooth pulled, get a fake one installed. That's it. That was the option. They can't magically create a root where there isn't one. There were a couple options for the fake tooth, an implant or a bridge. A bridge would mean that they'd have to remove the tooth and file down the tooth teeth next to it, so that they could glue a spacer between them. Whereas the implant would need a surgery to install the receptacle inside my jaw, into which the fake crown tooth thing would then be screwed. So I started looking around at surgeons in my area to see how much it would cost. It costs so much. It costs so much. It costs so much. And I had a good job, with insurance. No dental insurance, though, don't be crazy. But I figured, I've been living with this constant persistent pain for 7 years. It was time to bite the bullet. Now, given that I was already dealing with tooth issues, I didn't want to ruin 2 perfectly good teeth to deal with this by getting a bridge. And seeing as they had to remove the tooth either way, I decided, well, fuck it. I'll get the implant. I find a surgeon local to me, I believe they were only like a 10-minute walk from my house at the time, and make an appointment to get my quotes. Ouch. Thankfully, the government would cover at least part of the cost, but it was still gonna be a lot. Like, $2,700 out of pocket a lot. Ouch. They gave me the same rundown, implant versus bridge, pros, cons, yada yada yada. You know my decision, let's just skip to the surgery. The day of the surgery arrives and I'm in the orthodontist office as a bunch of aides buzz around my chair, making sure that I'm comfortable and that everything's ready for the surgery. They're putting those little heartbeat monitor thingies on my finger, they're adding Vaseline to my lips, they entertain me as I jovially ask questions how everything works, because I wouldn't be me if I wasn't nosy. The surgery would be to pull the baby tooth out and break my adult tooth out of my jaw. Then they would add spacers inside the bone so that the bone wouldn't shrink around the wound while it healed enough for them to add the implant later. Did you know bones can do that? That's gross. Eventually the surgeon comes in just as the anesthesia is plugged into my IV and he says, "Are you ready?" And I'm like, "No, wait. What happens if I have an allergic reaction to the anesthetic?" And he says, "Don't worry. We have all the materials here to take care of that, and we'll call the hospital as soon as we notice that something is wrong." Satisfied, I nod, I blink, and I wake up in a different chair in a different room. Surgery successful. That was disorienting, by the way. I totally understand why babies cry all the time. Imagine going to sleep in your bed and you wake up in a Walmart. I start moving to try and work the remaining anesthetic out of my system. Start stretching out my arms. Start wriggling my legs. I reach my arms up above my head and yeah, that feels nice. Then I hear a voice from down the hallway say, please don't bend down. Try and sit up." Oh, turns out that I was actually bent forwards with my head between my knees. I properly sit up again and continue stretching. My face feels fine at this point, probably because it's been numbed to hell and back. I can barely talk through the numbness and all the wads in my mouth. My parents come by, pick me up, and thus began the agonizingly slow healing process. It was 6 eternal months of testing every other week if I was capable of eating a sandwich again. My jaw is finally sufficiently healed so they can proceed to phase 2, installing the actual implant. I'm back at the surgeon's, we make small talk about how well my jaw is healed and how pleased the surgeon is with himself because it was apparently a very particularly difficult surgery, which was news to me. Apparently, the adult tooth that was lodged in my jaw was not only lodged there, it had, nicely entangled itself in the nerves of the tooth to the front of it. So, thanks. But I still had feeling in all of my teeth, which the surgeon was very happy to hear. Genuinely, he did a really good job. They don't put me under this time, they just numb the area, and they bring out the implant. It's a very interesting device. It's basically like a conical nut thing that they put into your jaw, into which the actual fake tooth is then later screwed into. This is installed with very little problems, except when he screws in the little temporary cover screw. Remember when I said that my adult tooth was all wrapped up in nerves? Well, those nerves didn't go anywhere. They were just fully exposed, creating screw to gum to nerve contact. It took him like 2 whole minutes to screw this tiny thing into the implant because every single turn he had to pause because I felt like my face was on fire. It hurt so bad. But eventually, it was done and I had the implant. The years of constant pain were finally behind me, and after the implant was fully healed, I could get the crown installed and it would be over. I thank my surgeon and I go to the front desk to thank them and ask when I should get back to get the actual tooth installed. After all, I had just paid $2,700 out of pocket to have this implant installed. Obviously, the crown was included. Obviously. Right? Oh, she says. Well, she says, you see, she says, you have to buy the crown separately. Oh, I say flatly, mouth becoming more and more painful as the numbing agent wears off. You should come back in 2 weeks to have the surgeon check out how your jaw is healing, though, she says brightly. Okay, when I tell you that they were not explicitly clear that I had to buy the crown in addition after the fucking surgery, I mean that. Nobody explicitly said that that was going to be the case. To me, this is the equivalence of going to a restaurant, getting yourself a meal, and then instead of the meal, you just get all the raw ingredients on your plate. I was pissed. I'm still pissed. Also, in the 6 months since phase 1, I'd received another job offer that meant that I was going to move across the country. Well, I wasn't about to buy a crown in my original location, fly out to my new location to move, and then fly back to have the crown installed when it was finally ready from their lab. Fuck that. So I look for a dental surgeon in my new city. Thankfully, I even find one close to my new workplace, and I ask them what the price is for a new crown. It's $5,000. Hello? Thankfully, at my new job, I actually got dental insurance, so like 50% of it was covered, but that is still another $2,700 out of my pocket. Again! And at this point, I've put $5,400 of my own hard-earned dollars into my fucking mouth. In the same year that I was moving, which was another $2,000 fucking dollars. Oh my God, 2022 was so expensive. It was so expensive. How do people even live like this? Is it like this everywhere? Oh my fucking God. Okay, listen. I have family that lives in Europe, all right? I just looked up the price for dental implant surgery there. It's 200 euros. And 150 euros for the crown. Plus 350 euros because I'm not insured there. That's a total of 700 euros. That's like $764. It would have been cheaper to just buy a plane ticket there, get the surgery, fly home, fly back 6 months later to get the implant and the crown installed. Oh my God. So, I pay to get the new crown from the new surgeon. It goes well, they measure my jaw, they take my money, they send a 3D scan of my mouth to the lab, and they take the money from the savings that I had built up. Had. I will admit the 3D scan thing was cool. They had like this long, thin 3D scanner wand thing that they were using to map out the inside of my mouth. I'm really excited for the use of 3D scanning technology in the medical world. I head home and a month later the new tooth arrives. I go back to their office to get it installed. They take out the temporary screw. Gee, raw nerves. Still hurts. They screw in the new tooth. Doesn't fit perfectly, which is to be expected, because they make it slightly bigger just in case. So the surgeon files it down, here and there to ensure a perfect fit. At one point, he takes the file to my mouth, and he files a bit off of my actual real tooth before I could say anything to stop him. It was just a tap, but I was so mad. Don't fuck with my actual teeth, I'm gonna get cavities. But I'm too shocked, and it happened too fast, so I don't actually say anything. He screws the new crown in through the hole at the top and locks it in place. He puts some UV paste in, and he cures that shit with a light. This is looking great, he says. And he's right, it does look great. It matches the color of the rest of my teeth perfectly and expertly fills the space. They take an impression of my teeth because now I need a new retainer. Obviously, my previous one won't fit me anymore. I'm not given a follow-up appointment, which is apparently not needed. I feel great. I look great. My wallet hurts so bad, but no more pain in my mouth. It's finally over. I eat a particularly rambunctious piece of naan, and I feel the twinge in my new tooth. It's loose. I call the orthodontist's office. They can't see me because the surgeon is on vacation because, why wouldn't he be? Of course he'd be. It's the middle of bloody summer. Why wouldn't he be? But he'll be back in 2 weeks. Just hang tight. I hang tight. And every day, it gets a little bit worse. Remember, there's a nice, wonderful-ass raw nerve just hanging out right where the implant is. And his crown is just jiggling around in there, rubbing all up on it. It's not making it feel better. Finally, 3 days before I'm going to go into their office, I feel a little... And there's the crown. Just fully popped out of my mouth. Well, I say, anger filling me from tip to toe, at least my mouth doesn't hurt anymore. I go to see the surgeon, and he says, well, let's see that tooth. And I say, here you go, holding up an old pill bottle in which I put the crown. The surgeon is shocked. He's literally never seen anything like this before. Well, too bad, sir. You're looking at it now. I paid an exorbitant amount of money to have this pain fixed, and it is still here. I am still having it. Fix it. There are 3 people whose services you employ who you do not want to hear say, uh-oh. Tattoo artists, hairdressers, and doctors. The surgeon looks in my mouth and he says, uh-oh. What do you mean, uh-oh? Are you sure the implant didn't come out with the crown? What do you mean, did the implant come out with the crown? Somehow, my whole fucking implant is missing. What? They take x-rays and surprise, surprise, the implant is not missing. It's still in my jaw, thank the gods. My gums just grew over the wound and made it so that you couldn't see or access it. So they needed to burn and carve away the excess gums. The gums with the raw nerve endings just cuddled up inside of them. Even with the numbing agents, I think this was the single most painful experience of my entire life. It turns out that somehow the crown had just simply unscrewed itself from my implant. Normally, the surgeon would have caught this before there would be any gum-growing consequences, but since he was on vacation, he couldn't double-check it. This is also why I didn't get a follow-up appointment. He screws it in again. Properly this time. And he fills the hole with a temporary plug. I go back 2 weeks later just to have it double-checked. It is still locked in place. He stuffs the access hole with the permanent filling, cures it, and sends me on my merry way. Also with my new retainer, if you were keeping track. And I haven't had any issues since. I have lately, however, begun to start feeling some sensitivities on the tooth that he felt needed to be filed down. I am so tired. Thanks for listening to my story on how I got minus 1.5 teeth and plus 1 debt. Have you ever had dental surgery done? Do you brush your teeth twice a day? Floss? Do you wear a retainer? I honestly don't know what to ask. Oh, did you know that I'm on social media? Twitter and Tumblr. Here are my ats. You can also find the links down below. Follow me for updates on my nonsense. And that's all for this one. I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye! Simbib, stuff I make because I'm bored. Listen, unless it's medically necessary, don't get braces. Just don't do it. Your teeth are great, you look beautiful, they're way too expensive, and it's just a long-term pain. Don't do it.